Yes, I know you saw that. You saw how the pen was moving and my hand too was moving from one direction or from one point to the other. That's what we are going to look at today. Our topic for today is motion or introduction to motion. So, when exactly is motion said to occur? Or motion is exactly what? You could see that this pen in my hand or my finger was moving or was changing direction, right? So, a motion is said to occur when a body changes its position. So, first, you could see that the pen was here. Now, it's now here. It's now here. Oh, it's here. So motion is said to occur when a body changes its position from one point to the other with respect to time or as time changes. So time isn't stagnant as the pen is moving. Time is also moving and the position of the pen is also moving. So motion is what exactly? It's when a body changes its position from one point to the other with respect to time or as time changes. So as we said, motion is said to occur when a body changes its position as time changes. So a body changing its position, let's see, a boy was here and the boy was running. Now the boy is here. You could see that this was the boy's first position, point A, and the boy's new position or current position is point B. Now you see that over here you see the boy moving, the boy running, the boy running. So the boy was running from point A to point B. So as the boy's position changed with time, this is known as motion, or this phenomenon is known as motion. So let's look at some natural phenomena or some natural things that exhibit motion. Yes, we could see a lady dancing. See that this was the lady's first position, and this is the lady's new position. The lady's arms, legs, everything, even the cloth was moving. So they are all objects. Let's take them as objects, all of them. So they were all moving from one point to the other or from one position to the other with time. It's changing with time. So this is a natural phenomenon or an example showing what motion is. We also have our planet or our solar system where we have our planets in the sun. So because every time we always see what they are always orbiting around the sun. All the planets are orbiting around the sun. So they are also moving, so they are changing their position as time changes. So it's also a form of motion. You could also see the tidal waves. See that they are moving from one point to the other, or they are moving, moving, something like this. And this is also moving. Now, all these motions, all these are types, basic examples or just examples of motion. But every object take a path in which, like, it's performing the motion. Sorry. So there's a path that defines the motion that that body is taking. So with that, we have different types of motion. We have linear motion, circular motion, rotational motion. We have a lot or multiple types of motion. We'll briefly look at some and explain. We'll briefly look at some and explain them just a little bit or just explain them briefly. So we'll take the first one as linear motion. So a body is said to be in linear motion when the body moves in a straight line or the body is moving in a straight line. So you can say that this is a road and the body is moving just along the path, along that straight line. So as this car is moving, we say that this car is undergoing a linear motion. We also have circular motion. So with circular motion, the body moves in a curve or along a circle. So it moves to get a circle or a circular form. So as it's moving, this is a curve, right? So let's say the body is moving, moving, moving. This is the center. So it's having a center and it's moving away from the center, forming a curve gradually to form a circle. So when a body moves in a curve or along a curve, or people say just move circularly away from its center, then that body is undergoing circular motion. You could see this, an example or a diagram of this briefly explained in this picture. Circular motion is briefly explained in this picture. You could also see we have another form called rotational motion. So for rotational motion, the body is moving along its axis. So the body, let's say this pen, is moving along its axis like this, moving along its axis. It's rotating. See that the pen is rotating. That's an example of rotational motion. We could also take the earth. See that as the earth is rotating around its axis, we have day and night. That phenomenon, as the earth is moving, and we say we are in the day, in the next time we say we are in the evening, and time is changing. So you can see that the object, that's the earth, was moving along its own axis. So as it's moving with changing time, or as time changes, that motion is called rotational motion. We also have other forms of motion. We have the oscillatory motion, and with this type of motion, a body moves forward and backwards, or to and fro from a fixed point. So you could see that this changing, you could see that this is the fixed point. The body is moving from point A to point C. So it's changing its position, going forward, backwards, forward, backwards. This is the initial position of the body. Now it goes forward, comes backwards, goes forward, comes backwards. So this type of motion is known as the oscillatory motion. We also have rigid motion. So for rigid motion, it's like linear motion and rotational motion combined. And also in this type of motion, the body is not being deformed. So let's take this, the car tire. So you could see that one, the car tire is moving in a straight line and also moving along its own axis. It's moving along its own axis and it's moving in a straight line and it's not deforming. So the type of motion in which the body doesn't, in which linear motion and rotational motion combines and the body doesn't undergo any form of deformation, is known as rigid motion. Let's take another form, which is the projectile motion. So with projectile motion, the body is thrown into space at an angle. So let's take this. So this basketball, this is its initial position and this is its final position. But it doesn't just come here at once, it's thrown at an angle. So the body is thrown at an angle into space and is influenced by gravity. So surely the body will still drop or come to ground finally. But first, as it's thrown at an angle. So you can see that you see an angle being formed here. So body is thrown into space at an angle and influenced by gravity. So that kind of motion is called what? Projectile motion. You see that this, it takes a path, or it defines a path. The path defined here is like a parabola. It's like that of a parabola. So this kind of motion is known as projectile motion. We have various type of motion. We have like periodic motion, repeated motion, vibrational motion, simple harmonic motion. We have a lot of things. We'll be looking at most of these types of motion in our next videos or in our subsequent videos. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in our other videos.